Okay, so here we are once again. Let me make sure that I've got my picture showing up here. I'm sorry, I forgot to have this ready right when I started, like I should have. But now I'm going to have to go and open it up. And thankfully, they got me right on the front page of YouTube when I open it up, right on my front page of YouTube anyway, on my alt account. So, the one that I watch YouTube videos on, not the one I make YouTube videos on. Although I do watch some on this, see his director. He might stop by and I watch his videos. And Skywalker the Jedi, I watch his videos on this channel from this channel. And he says he peeks in on all of his viewers from time to time. So he might stop by at some point and shout out to both of them. And Captain Have Fun, of course, I watch his videos on this channel because those are people that I like to interact with in my true identity. And the rest of the time I don't want to deal with crazy people, so I just have my own little my secret identity, my superhero identity. I can't talk too much about that, but anyway. Here we go with another Masters Universe Origins unboxing, and this is Origins Vipor, which is a strange name because it's got the name of the toy line in it, and I suspect that that's because there's some copyright shenanigans. Now, a while back, I opened up that so-called Army Builder pack. I say so-called because I'm not using any of those characters for Army Builders. Good day, Al Davis. Good to see you. He says, good policy. If you guys saw some of the weird shit that I watched on YouTube, you might be terrified. I like to watch a lot of conspiracy theory type stuff. So, and granted, there hasn't been as much of that since, like, the disease that shall not be named. Been a lot less the conspiracy theory talk on YouTube, but there's still enough weird stuff that I can get into. We'll put it that way. But I wasn't sure if either of these heads were repaints. I didn't recognize them at the time, but I'm pretty sure now that I've got Vipor in hand, I'm pretty sure it's a repaint of Vipor, the green guy here. And this guy looks a lot like the High Priest character, just without his headdress on. So if they do a figure of the High Priest character, I forget what the High Priest's name is, but yeah, he'll show up, and he's got the same bracers. I want to say that the entire arm of this guy comes from Snake Face, and of course he's got other repaint parts. But we'll get into all of that once we open them up. First, let's take a look at this really nice piece of artwork on the back. We got Vipor. I'm not gonna use the trademark shenanigan name. I'm just gonna call him Vipor. We got what looks like to me a couple of just kind of random Snake Men, Army Builder types. Since there's two of them running around, three of them running around here in the background. Although he looks to me less like a snake and more like a lizard, like a horny toad or a chameleon or something. And then Eldor here in the front, who I think we've probably seen him on some of the packaging, but I think he might have been on the Hero packaging. I don't remember. Al Davis says, I don't know, UFOs, EP files. We know what that's short for. Hollywood, music industry, wars, missing scientists, censorship, etc. Quite a few things at the moment. Oh yeah. Hey, it's starting to creep back. And like I don't want to say like I'm a guy who believes in conspiracy theories necessarily, although there are some that I think have some credence. I just find them interesting, is the thing. Although, like, there's got to be some conspiracies going on. There's always something. But a lot of them I just think are kind of wacky. A lot of them I think there's maybe a grain of truth to them, and a lot of them I think are absolutely true. But well, that's done. So, anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this guy. So he's got the Snake Men decal on the front. Al Davis says, same. Mysteries make the world more interesting. Indeed, they do. And you can see that the accessory he comes with, so I guess he must be try to understand he's a magic man because he comes with Evil Lynn's wand. And it's not just any version of Evil Lynn's wand. This is the version of Evil Lynn's wand that came with Stephanie McMahon with the kind of bone staff where they kind of I guess they felt like they had a little more leeway with the WWE version that they didn't have with the regular Origins version. So they were able to redesign it a little bit to have this bone staff instead of like the regular staff that's on the wand. So personally, I think it's really cool. I'm happy to have another version of this particular staff. This one it looks like it's sculpted and just like, or molded, I'm sorry, and just plain white. So it would be cool to see it come with an actual Evil Lynn figure. I think that would be pretty rad. But let's go ahead and open him up. And I should say that it does see the sinister embodiment of the Vipor Tower, which is something that we see a lot of the times in Masters of the Universe, at least since the Classics era, where something gets kind of embodied, personified, I guess I should say. Like we had Castle Grayskull Man, and that kind of started a trend. So then when we got that Fighting Foemen 3-pack, all three of those, of course, were based off of, at least loosely, on kind of generic characters that were piloting the vehicles on the Monogram model kits. But the Four Horsemen had the idea to not just make those generic characters, but kind of make them into personifications of the vehicles that they were piloting on those model kit packages. So you wound up with a Talon Fighter character and an Attack Track character and a Roton character. Excuse me, because those were the 3 model kits that they made. And they still look like kind of the generic characters that we had. I still got more rubber tabs to cut. The generic characters that we had on those packages, but you know, they had like a Talon Fighter breastplate and a Roton staff and that kind of thing. All right. So maybe we'll see a figure that's like a personification of the middle tower, the Lion Tower. I kind of feel like Castle Grayskull Man kind of already covers the Grayskull Tower. Although I should point out, I would really like to see an Origins version of Castle Grayskull Man. I think that would be pretty sweet. All right, and he's got one more rubber tab actually just around the figure itself, just to hold these chains in shape. And I'm pretty sure that this is a new breastplate. And, I'm not really that familiar with the Grayskull Tower because the Vipor Tower, or really any of the towers. So I never had that Eternia playset. But let's go ahead and look it up real quick. Vipor Tower. There we go. And I can have a look at it and see how accurate this guy is to the toy that he's based off of. And of course, Eternia is like these days a fairly rare and expensive playset. So not a lot of people have it, but some people do. And from what I can see is, I don't know if that's going to come. You guys can look it up yourself. But it's kind of a grayish, brownish tower, like a mountainous tower, not like a castle or anything, with a red snake sculpted around it. And from what I understand, in the mini comics, this place was used as a headquarters for King Hiss. That King Hiss took it over, which makes sense to me because, like I said, Skeletor was squatting at his old house, and then it's got these looks like 4 little dragon statues peeking out of it, and he's got the gold collar around the snake's neck, which has chains leading to all 4 of these snake statues. So that's pretty much it for the Vipor Tower. So pretty much the what they took from this guy, or from the tower, to put on this guy is the gold collar with the chains coming out of it, and obviously the snake head is inspired by that snake tower. But we can look at him next to this guy, and we can see that this guy does indeed remold this head, but in green instead of red. And it's a nice dark red. It's a very cool color. I like it a lot. It's kind of similar to the color of Ratlore. I do notice that he's got these little hooks on the side of his armor, so you can hook the chain into that one. And in fact, it's already hooked onto one of these chains, but only one of them. And I don't know if they did that on purpose or if it just came loose in the packaging or what, but I'm pretty sure that's where those chains are supposed to go. And he doesn't come with any other weapon other than Evelyn's staff. And I'm going to keep calling it Evelyn's staff, even though technically it's Stephanie McMahon's staff. But it's Stephanie McMahon's staff when she's dressed like Evelyn. So you tell me. Like, have you ever seen Stephanie McMahon wield a staff like this in WWE history at any time when she wasn't dressed like Evelyn? And you can see it's molded in kind of a white color. I don't know if it's coming across that well on the camera, but it's not like quite a true white. It's more of a like an off-white sort of color. It works really well for bone, I'll tell you that. And that's what he looks like while he's holding the wand. So there's a look at that. And then, like I said, I'm pretty sure that these were the same arms that Snakeface had, with the little snakes crawling up his bicep. I think you can kind of see that, at least over the camera a little bit. And the ridge and the warts and its nasty looking arm and the cool bracers there, which the most of the forearm there is kind of smooth, so you can use this with other characters. And in fact, I want to say, even though it was designed for Snakeface, that the first time we actually saw this bracer was, again, on a WWE figure. It was on Jake the Snake. When they did that figure, he had those cool bracers. And I wanted to get more just because I like those bracers and use them on custom projects. But Jake the Snake wound up being like not an easy figure to find. Al Davis asked pearlescent or opalescent. Well, it's just kind of just plain white. It's not really anything fancy, and it doesn't really glows in the dark either. So nothing really too exciting as far as the color that they used, but I will say it's an appropriate color because, again, it's got that bone staff to it. That having been said, excuse me, I think the staff that actually came with Stephanie McMahon is a little more exciting because that one's molded in silver and has actually some blue paint at the crystal ball section of the staff, which, that's something that this one could definitely use. Is some, what I probably would have done would be to make the crystal ball a separate piece, and then you could just fit it in there with whatever color you wanted to. But that's just me thinking as somebody who does a lot of 3D printing. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation real quick. So Vipor can look down about that far, look up about that. He can look straight ahead, basically. He can't really look down that far. Oh, and I should point out he's got buzz-off feet again, since we just had a figure with buzz-off feet. And his shin guards are from Keldor. So I always liked those shin guards. I would have liked to have seen them used a bit more often than what they did, but at least we got one more use out of them. And I think that this color is a little closer to the color that the traditional, the regular Origin Skeletor has. So if you wanted to use these shin guards, if you wanted to have these shin guards on an older Skeletor and you wanted it to match a little bit better, do I still have? No, I don't have one over here. I thought I might have had one over here, but I don't. But if you wanted to match that kind of brighter purple instead of the darker purple Keldor had, you could swap those out and put those on the regular Skeletor shins and put the some Skeletor feet on there. But you might have to repaint them, because I don't know if they actually did. I don't think they actually did any Skeletor feet that were in that Skeletor color, in that type of blue Skeletor. But I think it's cool blue in the Apple Barrel line matches up pretty well. So in the Apple Barrel line of paints, those cheap craft paints you buy at Walmart, yeah, cool blue I think is the one you want. So anyway, let's go back to the articulation. So the head does rotate all the way around, and the arms rotate all the way around the sides, but he does have these armor pieces that it's kind of bump into a little bit. That's to be expected. The arms can raise up to the sides about that far. And he does have that ridge that kind of bumps into the torso a little bit. So that's going to interfere somewhat. He's got a single joint of articulation at the elbow, which bends about that far, not quite 90 degrees, and rotates all the way around. And then, of course, he's got two hands that rotate all the way around at the wrist. And both of those have a horizontal hinge, which moves back and forth like so. Vipor can twist all the way around at the waist, and this is an Origins figure. I forgot to say that when I was talking about Reptilax the other day, but this is an Origins figure, so it does come apart at the waist and the arms and the head, and you can swap all the parts around. And this belt piece is removable. You can see it's got like a lizard skin, snake skin, I guess, dragon skin, some kind of reptilian scale look to it, but it could be like a scale mail kind of thing also. And then he's got like the typical He-Man trunks underneath, just molded in black. So I guess technically Skeletor trunks, but He-Man had the trunks first. And then his legs are mostly buzz-off legs, except for the shin guards, where they bothered to give him Keldor's shin guards. And I like that. I think that's nice. They could have just used the whole, buzz-off leg while they were at it. And I don't think most people would have noticed or cared. But no, they went the extra mile and used those Keldor legs. And frankly, that got a little bit of extra use out of that mold. So kind of justified that mold a little bit. So that's a good thing. So like I said, I'm pretty sure this is like an original. Be careful with these chains because they don't really like snap on here or anything. They just kind of fit over these hooks. And that having been said, then if you turn them around, they can come off rather easily. And like I said, they're not really like they're not hooks that curve around or anything. They just go straight up and down like that. And I think that this is probably intended to be so that you can take them off easily. I think it's supposed to be like an accessory the child can play with, in addition to his staff, is that he could take the chains off and maybe use them like a whip or chain the other characters up or anything like that. So yeah, do be careful when you're moving them around that you don't drop a chain and lose it or something like that. If your kid's playing with this guy in the backyard, there's a chance he might lose one of these chains. But I think this is just kind of like a typical crafting chain and can probably be easily replaced. It does look very similar to the chain that comes on Dragon Blaster Skeletor anyway. And I think I forgot to mention during the articulation, he does have an articulated jaw, which I always like to see on these figures. Now, as I mentioned before, I did not have the Eternia playset when I was a kid. I don't think I was that aware of it. I think I was kind of off the radar for me at that point. I think I was at a point in my life where I was old enough that like I'd kind of moved on to other interests besides Masters of the Universe. And not to say I didn't ever buy any Masters of the Universe, or I wasn't into it at all anymore. But I'd gone from being the guy who tried to get every single Masters of the Universe thing I could get to, getting whatever occasional figure I could turn up. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this either. He does have an extra articulation where the head kind of meets the neck here. That rotates all the way around. So there is extra articulation to this guy. I think I forgot to mention that. But anyway, so I don't have any memory of. I'm sure I must have seen it somewhere, and maybe I just wasn't too impressed with it, but for whatever reason. But I don't remember ever seeing the Eternia playset. It seems to me like something where I would have just kind of been like the whole planet and been confused at the if they'd have called it like Eternia Towers or something like that. I think just calling it Eternia made me think it should be like the palace, And if they'd made a place out of the palace, that I might have been interested in. But I wasn't really so much into the play sets anymore at that point. And I would buy occasional figures. I don't even think there was that many vehicles that I got excited about once it was in that era. And if I was playing one of my old Masters of the Universe toys, I was breaking out the battle ram because that was my favorite. Like the Talon Fighter, I think had a stretch as my favorite, but I just went back to that classic battle ram. I think as far as a He-Man vehicle, the battle ram is just the best one there is. What's the best land vehicle? The battle ram. What's the best sky vehicle? The battle ram. What's the best water vehicle? Well, it does look kind of like a jet ski. I'm pretty sure you could use it on the water if you wanted to. I'm pretty sure it could fly underwater. I mean, like, Man at Arms designed it. He's a smart guy. He probably would have taken that into account. Like, so for He-Man, I used the battle ram or battle cat, obviously. And for Skeletor, I was all about Roton. I never even had Land Shark when I was a kid, and Land Shark I thought was pretty cool, but never actually had him. I think one of the neighbor kids had him. I played with his Land Shark. That sounds wrong, but but yeah, I played. I do remember playing with a Land Shark when I was a kid, but I didn't have one, and so the Eternia playset was kind of not a part of my childhood memory of Masters Universe, and I didn't really become familiar with it until after the fact, until after I became aware that the thing existed with the internet. And then it kind of became a little more interesting to me mainly because of the mini comic that came with it. And I read that mini comic. And here's the other thing is, like, apparently that mini comic only comes with the Eternia playset. And I think that was a mistake. I think that they should have had that come with some of the figures as well. Because if I had read the comic when I was a kid, then I probably would have thought this thing was pretty cool and then begged my parents to buy me this super expensive playset on Christmas or my birthday. Oh, I did remember one late era Masters of the Universe playset that I did have. It was at least after She-Ra, because I know I got it the same birthday that I got She-Ra. One late era Masters of the Universe playset that I had, and it was the Slime Pit. Yeah, I had the Slime Pit because I thought the Slime Pit was just cool as hell. That's one of those, like, to me, probably the best kind of Masters of the Universe toy, at least from the vintage era, is the kind that even as a kid, like, even if it was or wasn't a part of the Masters of the Universe line, I didn't care. I just thought it was cool, and how can I not like a play set that lets you pour slime all over your action figures? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a He-Man play set. I don't think I really played with anything other than He-Man. I don't think I put like G.I. Joe or Superpowers in there. I certainly wouldn't put any Transformers in there because, God, can you imagine the slime getting caked into those Transformer joints? Ugh, I don't even want to think about it. But remember how all the packaging for the Slime Pit and the slime itself always showed Beastman getting slimed, and it's like they had it out for him. But if they'd had that Eternia mini comic in with some of the other figures, I think that probably would have helped them sell a lot more Eternia play sets. That's what I'm saying. So, and I was like, you've got a mini comic that's meant to sell the Eternia play set, and you only put it in the Eternia play set, which is like this very expensive thing. Like that only works if you're buying something already. You have the comic selling it. Like I remember Thunder Punch He-Man, when I bought him, he had a comic that explained, who and what Thunder Punch He-Man, what the deal was with that figure. And I don't remember if that one came with any other figures, but I was already buying Thunder Punch He-Man. I didn't need to be told to buy Thunder Punch He-Man. So, and likewise, if a kid is opening up Eternia on Christmas morning or at his birthday party, he already wanted that toy, obviously. That was already something he was really excited about. And he doesn't need a mini comic to hype it up for him. But if they had thrown the mini comic in with, say Ninjor, which was a character that a lot of kids liked, and a lot of kids wanted that Ninjor figure, like, hey, yeah, I just wanted this cool. I don't even really care about He-Man so much anymore. I just wanted this cool ninja, and I wound up reading this mini comic, and this playset sounds pretty rad. Maybe I'll ask for it, on my birthday, or have to wait till Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever other holiday you might celebrate. Or you might get a big gift like that. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it for Vipor. I think this is a really cool figure, and he's not too expensive to pick up on Big Bad Toy Store right now. I got him for $12 on Big Bad Toy Store. And, it's the sort of thing where I like to go through their sale items. When I'm always doing ads for Big Bad Toy Store, like I'm getting money from them. But the truth is, I buy a lot of stuff from Big Bad Toy Store, and they're probably my favorite place to buy toys online. Hey, if there's anybody from Big Bad Toy Store that wants to sponsor my channel, you might as well, and I'd do it for cheap too. Just give me like a, $50 gift certificate every time I mention your channel. You don't have to pay me real money. Just pay me in swag. I don't whore myself out in these toy reviews. If I'm gonna talk negative about a toy, I'm gonna talk negative about a toy. And if the people at Hasbro or Mattel or McFarlane don't like it, I don't give a tinker's damn. Like you saw the episode where I was talking about Dr. Midnight and how disappointed I was with that figure. And that wasn't even that bad of a figure. I was just mad that it didn't have a wired cape. Like the rest of the figure I thought was fine, but it was, I didn't like that it had a wired cape, and that made it overpriced. If it had a wired cape, I still would have thought it was overpriced, but not as egregiously. And if it had been so egregiously overpriced, I wouldn't have minded that it didn't have a wired cape. If it was a $25 figure instead of a $35 figure, I'm going off on a rant on it again. But you see my point. I don't care if I piss off the big toy companies, but Big Bad Toy Store rarely gives me an opportunity to say anything bad about them. And occasionally I might get something in a dinged box or something like that, but they're only human. I don't really get too upset about that sort of thing generally. But for the most part, yeah, Big Bad Toy Store is the best place online to buy stuff. For me personally, it's the one that works out the best. Al Davis says that's about preferences and available options, not so much critical. Well, yeah, yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, like I like to go through Big Bad Toy Store like in the middle of the week or something, and just look through what they've got on sale every few days or so. And if I see something I really like, I toss it into my pile of loot. And it's not like, if I saw this guy for $12 on any other website, I probably wouldn't buy him for $12, because then I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it's only $12, but I'm gonna have to pay for shipping and handling, and if I gotta pay for shipping and handling, then that bumps it. Then he's almost a $20 figure. He says, I was agreeing. Sorry, I meant about the cape issues. Well, I gotcha. But yeah, like that figure should have had a wired. If it's a collector edition figure, it should have a wired cape. Full stop. There's no reason for a collector edition figure to not have a wired cape. There's none. Zero. Absolute zero. If like I've gotten regular figures with wired capes, like I should be able to get a collector edition figure. Should always have a wired cape. I don't mind it being a crapshoot so much with a regular figure. I mean, that is kind of irritating to get a cape without a wire. Like I was irritated enough with Red Tornado, but with me paying, and he didn't even have that many extra accessories. He had an owl. Big deal. Some extra hands. Big deal. This is all stuff that could have come with a standard figure. I'm getting off on Dr. Midnight again. Yes, you see how much that bothered me. It really bothered me. Like, you might say more than it should have, but I can't help my mind and how it works. But on the other hand, like I said, $12 for Vipor was pretty good. And if you find something like that on a big bad toy store, then you can just kind of put it in your pile of loot, and it's there when you're ready to buy stuff. So I had the Crimson Moon figures that I'd pre-ordered a while back, mainly because I love Baron Ironblood, and I want to put together a Baron Ironblood figure. And apparently they can't make a Baron Ironblood figure like whole cloth. I guess there's some kind of legal reason where they can get away with putting this helmet with this figure, and this body with this figure, and this head with this other figure. But you have to buy all three of them to really put together a Baron Ironblood figure. But the other figures are going to be cool too, so I'm excited to talk about them. And I got the Red Jackal figure, so that should be fun. But yeah, so I had all these coming out, and they were like super expensive to buy all four of those at once. So I had to make sure that I had the money in that account that my Big Bad Toy Store is drawn from. And but up till then, I was just, oh, here's something. Like, they got a lot of stuff for cheap, and sometimes it's stuff that, like with Vipor here, was a figure that I hadn't actually gotten around to buying yet. So I've tossed him onto my last order. Like, towards the end of it, I know I had some extra money, and I was like, well, let's just look through Big Bad Toy Store and see if what we can find for cheap on there. And I wound up getting a bunch of figures that were fairly inexpensive to buy, and three of them happened to be Snake Men. And I'm always talking about how, like, there's just not enough Snake Men, so it's nice that they're making new Snake Men. And the third one that I bought, because the first one was Reptilax, and then this guy, and then the third one that I bought was Ratlore. And Ratlore is another one that, like, even though Ratlore is a really cool figure, I never had Ratlore when I was a kid, and I don't know why. I couldn't possibly explain to you how I did not get Ratlore. But now I have the Origins Ratlore, so I'm going to be really excited to talk about him on the next episode. He was the one I was saving for last. So he'll be the third of the Snake Man figures to talk about. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to get into after that. But I do have that Big Bad Toy Store order on the way. I'll probably open up the Crimson Moon figures when I open up some G.I. Joe figures. I'll probably lump those all together, since it is at least tangentially related to G.I. Joe. And of course, I'll talk more about that when I get into that unboxing. Al Davis says, I got a Chinese Batman Hush, and it came with loads of awesome accessories. It's amazing, with a huge multi-wired cape and like a corner gargoyle stand thing, which is cool. Yeah, I've mentioned before how, like, my favorite Batman figure, at least my favorite McFarlane Batman figure, and maybe my favorite Batman figure of all time, is that Norm Brayfogle style Batman that now is, like, really hard to find and really expensive. And thankfully, I was able to snag one off the McFarlane Toy Shop website. And that one came with a gargoyle for him to stand on and a wired cape. And, like, that's like kind of peak McFarlane right there. It's like, oh man, I miss when the wired capes were just a thing that, like, you got on every figure no matter what. If it didn't have a wired cape, it was probably because it had a plastic cape for whatever reason. Jason's Electric here says, hi, Alan, I've got Classics General Ratlore. Yeah, like, for whatever reason, I never even got the Classics version of Ratlore, and that's a great figure too. So, and Ratlore is probably the coolest of the Snake Men figures. And I think, like, it's kind of funny because with the other two evil factions, I'm pretty sure, like, like everybody's favorite evil warrior is Skeletor. Even if he's not their favorite figure, he's their favorite character out of the Evil Warriors, probably. And likewise, everybody's favorite character out of the Horde is probably Hordak. Like, not everybody, but I'd say a majority of people would say their favorite Evil Warrior is Skeletor, and their favorite Horde member is Hordak. But I would say that King Hiss gets overtaken by Ratlore as far as the popularity goes. If there's one thing that I don't like about the red color on this guy, and I do like this red color, I think it's a really sharp color, is that I kind of worry, and we'll compare on the next episode when I open up Ratlore. And I don't know if I'm going to do the episode tomorrow, because I've got some errands I got to run tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to have time. I'm going to have to get up early and take my old 3D printer to the shop and see if they can fix it, because I still would like to try to fix it, even though I got a new 3D printer, but whatever. But I think the colors might be a little too similar between these two guys. We'll see. We'll see when I open them up. But yeah, like, and I remember that the weapons pack, one of the weapons packs that they put out for Classics, it had the breastplate so that you could put that breastplate onto the Classics Ratlore figure, and it would look a little bit more like what he looked like in 2000X. So even though like it's not the same design, but honestly, it kind of fits in with the aesthetic of how they usually did 2000X in Classics, where they kind of tried to make it look a little bit more like something that if it had been made in the vintage line, this is what it would have looked like. Like, it made sense to me because it was looking at those as being the same continuity, and just kind of would try to err towards the vintage version rather than the 2000X version whenever they had to make a deviation. So like, say, Triclops looks obviously a lot more like the vintage Triclops figure than the 2000X Triclops. Like, he doesn't have a bionic neck. He doesn't have the tubes and stuff coming out of the armor. He doesn't have the kind of more samurai looking kilt thing for a loincloth. He still has a furry loincloth. But he did have a Doom Seeker, and even then they kind of repainted the Doom Seeker so it had a little bit more of a vintage vibe to it. So it makes sense when they'd make their Ratlore figure, it would look more like the vintage Ratlore figure, but they give you a display option, and I think it was like a budgetary reason they couldn't include it with the figure, so they had to have it be a separate thing in the weapons pack, I think, because then they had the budget for it in the weapons pack. But then they could give you if you were more of a fan of the 2000X design of Ratlore. Well, this doesn't make it purely a 2000X Ratlore, but it does give it a little bit more of a 2000X flavor to it. So, and King Grayskull, the sword that he came with was the classic power sword instead of the 2000X sword, that kind of thing. So that was just kind of typical of Classics. From what I understand, there were many at Mattel who considered the 2000X reboot to be a failure and didn't want to get the stink of it on Classics. And I believe those people are at least mostly gone, or they're not really in a position of power over He-Man anymore, or at least they've softened in their position on 2000X. So now we started to see a lot more 2000X type stuff. Like even this Keldor figure, this I think was more in the Classics tradition and even reused the Classics head. But he's still kind of more of a vintage looking Keldor figure. But they did get around to doing a pure 2000X Skeletor with that loincloth and everything. So I'm going to swap out that loincloth and put the more 2000X kind of loincloth on Keldor, because I feel like that's more appropriate. So anyway, that's it for Vipor. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Vipor, both the character in general and this figure specifically. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. I like it when you leave comments, so please leave a comment. And if you made it this far into the video, let's leave a comment about who you think is the best Snake Man character. And I'm guessing most people that are going to actually answer that question are going to say Ratlore. I'm betting we're going to get a lot of Ratlore. We might get a few of some other characters, but if there is any kind of majority, I'm betting it's going to be Ratlore. Ratlore was like the coolest one, I think. Anyway, maybe I'm just coloring that without my own personal opinion. The only Snake Man that I had when I was a kid was I had King Hiss and I had Tongue Lashor. And Tongue Lashor, he's fine. He was fine. I liked him okay. But I always thought Ratlore was cooler. And I don't think I actually even bought Tongue Lashor in the store. I think he was one that just kind of like appeared in my collection one day, and like maybe I traded him to another kid for something. I don't know. Like maybe I had some other figure I didn't really care so much for, and I'm like, yeah, I'll trade you for Tongue Lashor, sure. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.